For many, many years, those of us who have been pointing out that having incessant GT stripes painted by planes in our skies is not normal and is resulting in a poisoning of humanity, let alone other unknown consequences, have been labelled crazy conspiracy theorists. During the campaign trail, now HHS Secretary RFK Jr. responded to a tweet from concerned citizen about geoengineering and said, "We are going to stop this crime." With many people at the time having celebrated this tweet and having felt some sort of validation for their concerns about these trails we see in the sky. Much research and documentation has been released over the years to verify people's claims, yet the authorities never seemed to acknowledge people's concerns. People finally felt hope that RFK Jr. was going to act. Since this time, we've not seen much activity regarding the topic apart from a previous hint from RFK Jr. in August that weather modification, we think, is coming from DARPA, a US Department of Defense agency. Is RFK Jr., is the HHS Secretary not able to stop this crime because DARPA is more powerful than HHS? Well, that's concerning if that's the case. This crime undoubtedly affects the health of Americans, and if the HHS Secretary can't put a stop to a US defense agency being involved in doing this to Americans, we have a very big problem. Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene has vowed to do something about it, holding a hearing on weather and climate control yesterday. Here's some of what she said.
For years, anybody who questioned weather modification was labeled crazy or a conspiracy theorist. Now we've learned that they've been doing it for decades. And not only is it a multi-billion-dollar industry, the government has invested a lot of Americans' hard-earned tax dollars into it. They've been forced to spin it, and apparently it is now the only way we are going to save humanity. However, let's look at the risk. According to GAO, injecting a cloud with silver iodide increases precipitation anywhere from 0 to 20%. It could be even more, but the truth is that we really don't know for certain. The questions that are asked is, can you control the exact amount of precipitation that a cloud will produce if it is injected with silver iodide or another cloud seeding agent? Can you control where the precipitation is going to land with 100% certainty? Can you say that it will not cause or enhance flooding with 100% certainty? Is there any way to measure with absolute certainty the effectiveness of seeding a cloud? Do we know with 100% certainty how much rain a cloud would have produced if it had not been seeded? And lastly, did the American people ever get to have a say in any of this? The truth is that there's absolutely no way to measure the effectiveness of cloud seeding. But something else that needs to be known is the American people deserve to know that there is very little rules and regulations over this. These companies that perform cloud seeding and other types of geoengineering projects have to fill out forms from NOAA, and they have to list what agents they're using. And there is a category that simply says other. And they don't have to even fill out what other means. And I think that's extremely concerning.
MTG asks a very important question of one of the people giving testimony, and I think that it's important for everyone to hear this. The effects that this would have on crop life and our food supply. Take a listen.
Well, let me ask another question, Mr. Martz. It's sulfur, right, that is put into the air. Is there health consequences for people, especially like after volcanic eruptions? Is there health consequences to that type of injection into the atmosphere?
Well, sulfur dioxide, if it's injected into the stratosphere, obviously it blocks out solar radiation, and so that would potentially, if it's implemented on a large enough scale over a long period of time, it could reduce crop yields because obviously plants need sunlight to grow. They need water and CO2, just basic photosynthesis. And there's also concerns that if it gets into the troposphere, it could create acid rain, and that is called acid deposition into the soil, and that makes it hard for plants to obviously to grow, and that harms plant and animal life as well.
So apart from all the unknown health impact on humans of breathing in all of these known listed harmful chemicals, as well as whatever they're releasing under the category other, we're also talking about the potential of reduced crop yields, acid rain. In other words, a systematic destruction of our food supply. That applies to our farmers, and our own ability to grow our own organic foods independent of Bill Gates and co genetically modified Frankenstein foods they want us to consume for their Internet of Everything transhumanist agenda. Rep. Brandon Gill asked a question about the third and fourth order effects. Take a listen.
And Mr. Mart, so continue with you. Are you familiar with the butterfly effect?
Yes, I am.
Okay, got it. It kind of the foundational principle of chaos theory that small changes in initial conditions in a complex system can have second, third, fourth order consequences that are seemingly unpredictable. How do you think about that concept being applied to weather seeding? Small changes in a complex system, and how can you understand, or how can we get comfortable that there aren't going to be third, fourth order impacts of potentially much larger magnitude?
Well, I think that there are, again, obviously very much large uncertainties about it, and obviously some more research into it needs to be done, probably on a modeling effort, but trying to, I think that to do it as far as the environmental impacts of it in particular need to be studied, especially with silver iodide and how it affects our water tables and our soil, because there's definitely concerns about that.
In other words, we simply don't know just how much chaos this is going to cause and has already caused to our natural God-given planet and our bodies. Much like COVID, we'll just do it and figure out the consequences later. This has been the excuse for geoengineering. It cannot be allowed to continue. Rep. Tim Burchett had a few things to say coming out of that hearing. Plain and simple, geoengineering and chemtrails need to be outlawed. Take a listen.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett, just leaving DOGE subcommittee. We were studying the effects of weather modification, cloud seeding, chemtrails, all that. Pretty inconclusive for what they're telling us of whether weather modification actually works, although we spent $15 million 1 year in the 70s, which would work out to about $500 million now on it. There's a lot of questions of what the chemicals were if they're using. I asked if one of the proponents, I said, would you drink a glass full of water that had that in it? And he said, probably not. So that kind of tells you right there, it's we're playing God, and there's the liability of some of this stuff is caused hurricanes and floods, and one says it doesn't, the other says it's inconclusive. So that to me is throws up a real question mark there. So, but anyway, we'll keep digging into it, see what happens. Get another round of questions, so there's more stuff that'll come out a little later.
Sure, there can be more questions asked, but the bottom line is, if there is any doubt whatsoever that there is a safety risk to Americans, whether it be a risk to their bodies or a third and fourth order effect that is unknown, this practice needs to be banned immediately. If what RFK Jr. said is true, then it needs to be a federal ban, with agencies like DARPA, as he alluded to, being subject to criminal prosecution if they continue to do this. This needs to be the outcome of this hearing.